Now, Margaret Warner wraps up her reporting trip to the Middle East nation of Yemen with the story of its most prevalent homegrown product.
If you want to get something done in this country, try to do it before 3 o'clock. Soon after, Yemenis' cheeks are bulging with the mildly narcotic leaves of Yemen's #1 cash crop, khat. For an overwhelming number of Yemenis of all stripes, getting buzzed on khat is a daily pastime.
Khat in Yemen has existed for a very long time, and it represents one of the social traditions here in Yemen. Khat is a connection between family and friends.
Like his family and friends, Office Director Abdullah al-Sheikh started chewing khat in his teens. They gather like this with bags of leaves and bottles of water for hours at a time, talking politics, family and tribal matters, and sharing jokes. Whatever the topic, everyone's eager contribution is fueled by what aficionados say is a gentle speed-like buzz brought on from chewing the leaves. The feeling has been compared to several cups of espresso or that first glass of wine, but it goes on for hours.
Without khat, you get bored after maybe half an hour and maybe want to leave. But with khat, you take much longer, 4 hours or more, because khat gives you the feeling you want to talk about your plans, your future.
Yemeni legend has it that khat's properties were discovered by a goat herder who tried it himself after noticing his goats were more energetic while they were grazing on the leafy plant. But it's a thirsty plant to grow, and given the drought gripping this part of the world, that means Yemeni's taste for khat comes at a high environmental cost. In the rural village of Hada, rows of cactus have taken root where fruit trees once flourished.
This used to be a forest of trees. It was just like paradise. You could hardly see the other side of the valley.
Family farmer Ahmed Al-Kadim says Hada used to be watered by 12 natural springs and 20 wells. But after 2 decades of drought and heavy consumption, they've run dry.
Now my farm's dried up. There's not been enough rain, and we use too much water.
Cities like the capital, Sana'a, are endangered too. Its water table is dropping fast from the drought and exploding population and khat farming nearby. Many city residents, the ones who can afford the skyrocketing prices, now rely heavily on water trucked in from rural areas. And the World Bank predicts that within 15 years, Sana'a could be the first capital city in the world to run out of drinking water entirely. But that hasn't stopped local khat farmers who either don't know or don't care for modern irrigation methods from flooding their khat fields as their families have done for generations.
Depending on the season, I water my fields sometimes 6, sometimes 12 hours a day.
The view over the village of Wadi Dar shows acres of trees below, bearing not fruit or vegetables as they used to, but khat as far as the eye can see. Farmer Kamal Moath explains why.
Growing khat, we are able to make a lot of money, and the government does not promote growing fruit or much else.
With khat now representing over 1/3 of Yemen's agricultural output, farmers are drilling ever deeper to quench their plants. And the government helps them do it by selling diesel fuel at a below-market rate. Deputy Finance Minister Jalal Yaqub is worried about the trend.
We're subsidizing the depletion of water, and we're subsidizing the people who choke out, and it is just not, it's not right.
But he acknowledges there is an economic benefit. The lucrative khat trade keeps money circulating in the countryside, so life in poor villages remains vital.
Khat gives opportunity for people in countrysides to have access to money without the government providing anything.
Ralfa Hassan al-Sharki, who runs an NGO in Sana'a, expresses a view shared by many, that the government doesn't try to restrict water use or khat consumption for another reason.
People in the politics found it easy to control people who are showing khat all the afternoon and busy in doing other things instead of asking for services or doing anything. And they cannot revolt, they cannot demonstrate, they don't do anything.
The cost to productivity is an issue. Though laborers use khat to keep them going, other chewers seem to spend their afternoons in a drugged-out haze. Yaqub insists this is not deliberate on the government's part, but providing alternatives to khat, whether for work or play, would be a huge undertaking.
It is a serious lack of prioritization from the government, on the government's part, not to focus on fighting the use of khat. But you cannot just fight khat for the sake of fighting khat. You have to give other, parts of the package.
These students aren't waiting for the government. They've launched their own anti-khat campaign to urge other young people to do something else. Marwa Bahabab and Firwas Shamsan, both in their 20s, say khat chewing among their peers is holding them back.
They say, okay, if I'm not chewing, where should I go? I'll be walking on the street. They don't have the awareness, as I said, and they don't have like guys to tell them, no, you can go to voluntary work, no, you can you can go to a gym or something like that.
And that's the problem here. They need to kill the time by chewing it.
Abdullah al-Sheikh and his friends, their wads of khat growing with each chew, wouldn't disagree.
People have to understand the damages of khat. The khat damages health, the khat wastes your time and money. I think the government has to implement some programs to stop khat chewing.
But this evening, khat is playing an irreplaceable role in this celebration of an upcoming wedding. Without it, the music may not play as loud, nor the party last as long, in a country where khat is king.